Tom, you should always record every time you come on because people are wanting to know what also is going on in the talk. Okay.
Right. That was the first conversation, though. Everybody was quiet.
Whenever you come on, just go ahead and start the item. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So what we need to look at tonight is we need to surrender it all. Everything out here is fictitious, imaginary. We need to surrender it all out of here. We don't need any of these numbered accounts whatsoever. We were not born with a number. Okay? Who's laughing?
I just muted her out.
Everything is fictitious, imaginary, not real. It's counterfeit, false, not genuine. This whole Social Security item, okay, is basically you go to read the definition about peace, that invisible sense of security, invisible sense, imaginary sense of security, which every person feels so necessary to his comfort. It's sort of like Linus in Peanuts needing his damn blanket. He's lost without it. He refuses to grow up because he can't get rid of his blanket. People sucking their thumb. Their security. They feel secure then. It's a false sense. You don't need this Social Security. It's all imaginary. And then if you go in and look up the definition about the numbers game, and see, it's not the name game, it's the numbers game. Numbers game, a form of lottery. A game in which the operator sells slips of paper containing 3 numbers with the agreement to pay a cash prize to holders of slips bearing numbers in sequence as they appear in a large number published daily in the press, such as the United States Treasury balance is a lottery. Case law. 3 numbers you have. Look at your Social Security card. 478, that's one number. Dash. 52, that's another number. Dash. And then 4 digits make up the final number. 3 numbers. This is in Ballantyne's dictionary talking about this. And the system is used, a lottery conducted under a system devised with more or less ingenuity to disguise the character of the enterprise. Under that Social Security card, which is a yin and yang or black and white document. The black is the BAR card, Bank Authorized Representative. The white is WAR, or War card, to allow warring functions to take place. And you are authorizing war actions with that card also. That's why you're an enemy to the state. Under that Enemy to the State Act. Because you're at war. You have a warring card. You have a banking card and a warring card all in one. It has dual functions. You need to surrender it. It is your destroyer. Your bank accounts. The EIS that we got for the 98 series. The estate series. Surrender them. We don't need them. We have our name. We have proof that we were born here in America. Either by a hospital birth certificate or by a Bible entry. Then we can turn around and do a special drawing rights against the National Treasury, Trust Treasury. We had an inherent birthing equitable right to the American National Trust assets by our birth or by naturalization after a 7-year period. And that would then be a special drawing right. This is nothing new, okay? The Greeks basically have one of the best examples of it out here. The others are a little harder to see, but they're all the same. What the Greeks had was they had 3 key gods or key trustees. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. Zeus, the god of war, or the trustee of war. Poseidon, the god of the oceans, or the commercial maritime commerce. Not commercial commerce, but basic commerce. Justice is what he was on, to calm the waters of commerce. And then you had Hades. And Hades was the one who sat over hell. And if you read the definition about hell, it is the place where the chancery held basically the debt, or was pretty much the debtor's prison underneath the chancery. That was an English definition of it. Now, we have to correlate that to modern day. What are those big 3 here in America? Well, in America, the Postmaster General is the one who declares wars when commerce gets disrupted for 3 days. So he is Zeus. The U.S. Attorney General is basically Poseidon. He is the one to bring about justice or the calming of the waters of commerce. And then you have Hades, which turns out to be the Inspector General of the Treasury. He has to inspect your documents to allow you to have access to the funds held in hell in the Chancery Trust Depository account. We don't need any damn stinking numbers. We operate with numbers. We're in basically the commercial system. We're in a warring system. And then we're playing the numbers game. So we have to surrender all documents that basically contain those numbers. The certificate of live birth, the military DD-214 are fictitious receipts. Look up the definitions of everything that has fictitious in it. Fictitious credit, fictitious debt. Fictitious credit. You basically signed on the right hand of the mortgage contract as the endorser for the credit. But the payment was never made. So it was a fictitious credit that you were giving over to them. And then they created on that same document a fictitious debt to go along with the fictitious credit. And then, basically, with the title, certificate of title to the property or whatever, you got a fictitious receipt. A warehouse receipt issued for goods not actually in storage. That's what the certificate of live birth is. That's what the DD-214 is. They basically assigned a number, a value, but there's nothing there. It's all fictitious. Is what they were doing was placing a lien against the National Treasury for so much in each person's certificate receipt. You're operating in the world of Never Never Land, or the Land of Oz, or in Alice in Wonderland on the other side of the looking glass. The imaginary world. You've got to wake up and come out of there. Okay? You go into court, and basically, you're going into a fictitious case. They bring a suit against you, but it's all fictitious. There is no real facts that exist of controversy. But they attempt to get you to argue the item and to put documents in to try and create a controversy. And that is now an abuse reprehensible by all courts and punishable as a contempt against the court. I've said this for well over a year now, that basically the only way that they get you into jail is by your consent or by you getting you and charging you with contempt of court. They have no real charges. There is no harm, individual harmed. It's a feigned, F-E-I-G-N-E-D, injury. They always bring it in the name of the state of whatever. All capital. It's a pretended personal injury to the state. He hasn't been harmed. What harm is your speeding or not wearing a seatbelt doing to the state? Not a damn thing. So it's a pretended personal injury asserted by way of extracting a claim for damages. It's all fraud. And people don't know how to contest that. The only way you're going to be able to contest it is that you understand the words. You need to really break out the dictionary and start studying it. You don't go to the codes of law. They're all for their benefit, to try and trick you into things. But if you know the words, you will know how to combat them. Most all of these courts are mute courts. M-O-O-T. The practice or simulated court where law students conduct fictitious suits. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing a fictitious suit against you. You have to treat them with contempt. They're the ones that are really in contempt of the living. So you mock them. You tell them that basically you can't charge me with contempt because I'll just purge myself of that contempt. You have the right to purge yourself. In other words, you can shit it out. They can't. They're constipated. They have to hold it in. So we have to come in and we have to surrender all of these items. We surrender the Social Security card back to the Social Security Administration as a banking and warring document. We will notify the Postmaster General that we have surrendered that back to the Social Security Administration and that we are no longer an enemy combatant against the United States of America. We will surrender all the fictitious receipts to the Postmaster General also. We have to go in and surrender all EINs that we've obtained, get those out of our hands. All other warehouse receipts, like the driver's license, like the certificate of title to the vehicle, certificate of title to the property, surrender them all. They're all fictitious warehouse receipts. For the vehicle, you should have a pink slip. That is the bill of sale for a vehicle. You should have a bill of sale for the house. That is the real document. Your UCCs, those were all fictitious fictitious numbered banking and warring claims against the fictitious receipts or fictitious other charges that are out there, items. We were hoodwinked into trying to get these done. We thought that was the right way to go. It's the wrong way. They can only operate with numbers. They don't operate with the name. When they look you up, they don't look you up by name. There's 200 Tom Joneses out there. How would they know which one's the right one? They need the number. The number is unique. They don't need the name. You get rid of the numbers, and basically now you become unseen to them. They can't see you any longer because they can only see numbers. You want to be hidden right in plain sight? Get rid of your numbers. You send them into the Postmaster General. You notify the Attorney General. And basically tell him that basically they need to go in and seize all of those properties, those numbered properties and assets. And then put them into the National Treasury Depository. We don't need them because we have now a special drawing right to come in and go, since we're no longer in enemy combat, we have the right of special drawing against that treasury for any amount we need. I'm working up on a document under special drawing rights. So like the money orders we were doing before, there will not be a number on it, except for what we put as a tracking number to track what we have done for our convenience, not for anybody else's. That's all we need to do, okay? Then we will get the lawful exchangement that we're entitled to from the United States of America Central Bank and Exchange. We have the right of free choice to do this. This is the expatriation away from the foreign bankers, away from being a warring faction within our own country. Anyone that resists this, okay, or supplies resistance to it, can now be charged as a criminal offense or for a criminal offense. We are the American elector when you're over the age of 25 and trustee by the Articles of Confederation and then supported by the United States Constitution, which is the National Trust Storage Document, to set up the government trustees and the National Treasury Central Depository and Monetary Exchange. That's all that damn Constitution did. and then allowed them to basically interface on a governmental level with the international governments of the world. But we are the trustees of the assets of the country. The real trustees. They are basically the fictitious, the guardian trustees sitting up there to make sure that we do our job correctly. And that we don't go to war against the nation. Now, you don't need to write Zeus down when you send your stuff to the Postmaster General or to the Attorney General and call him Poseidon, or basically go to the Attorney or the Inspector General and call him Hades. They might not know exactly the Greek mythology that basically I'm laying on you right now. But that's pretty much the way it is, okay? We've tried to make things so damn complicated and basically then continuing to play their numbers game. Like I said, they can only operate with numbers. You want to stop the game? Stop playing the numbers. You don't have a last name right now, okay? I've stated that before. You are basically just Tom, Lucy, Eloise, Joe, whatever, of the family or of the clan or of the tribe, or just semicolon and then your clan or family name. But you operate out here, basically, in the fictional world, and you still need to have you still have to have a player on the stage of life. And that player's name will be like in my case, Patrick Devine. On the stage. But in the real, off the stage, I'm just Patrick. Of the family or clan Devine. Because I'm not dead. And I'm not a fiction. And I'm not an actor. Okay? So I'll be putting a new document up there to send it to Tom probably tomorrow. And also some of these word definitions that you should be able to write these words down. Look up everything that has F-E-I-G-N-E-D in it. Look everything that is in the dictionary that has fictitious in front of it. Read what it says about fight. Okay? Good one to look at. Just to understand what fight is all about. Because we're fighting for our survival in the living world. Look up hypothetical. Read especially hypothetical question. It's pretty much the same as mute or moot, M-O-O-T, question. And then look up all the words, or all the words in the dictionary that begin with M-O-O-T. Read what it says about mock, M-O-C-K. Read what it says about numbers game in Ballantyne's dictionary. The first two sentences and basically the last paragraph under numbers game are the key ones that you need to look at. Peace. Look at the definition of what peace says. The termination of a war, of hostilities between nations. You are a nation of one. And basically you're at war against our mother nation. The United States of America, by having that Social Security card, that false, fictitious security card. There is no security with that damn thing. It's an invisible blanket. Giving you a false sense of security. You need some extra money? You do a special drawing rights when you come out and stop being an enemy combatant. Look up the definition of war. Let me see what were some of the other ones. Breach of peace. Absolute rights. Bolting. And that was the one that really set me off this morning, was because I watched the movie Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Somebody had taken Zeus's lightning bolt. So I was looking up bolt. B-O-L-T-I-N-G. The holding of mute arguments at the ends of court. Sifting ground wheat to remove the chaff from the edible flour. And that's what we need to do, is we need to have the sifting of these assets to remove and give the edible flour food back to us. So we have to return the lightning bolt to Zeus. And all these numbered accounts are basically the lightning, the charges. A lightning bolt is a charge, an electrical charge. See, these things are hidden within some of these movies if people just open their eyes to see what's going on in the movies. The Adjustment Bureau, very, very big. The whole movie, they're running around and trying to control you or control the guy in the movie. But he keeps trying to go to right of choice or free choice in this scenario until finally they give up. And they say, okay, you're worthy of having your right of free choice. But what are they doing? They're all carrying books. And they're all wearing hats, these guys that are controlling them. And then they're going through their secret doors in the movie. Well, the books, what the hell does a cop have? He's got a book, and basically he writes out a ticket to you to try and control you and bring you back into line. Saying, oh no, you really don't have free choice. Here, we're going to put you back into the groove that we want you to operate in. Now you can see why they all had books, because they were writing tickets out to try and get you back on track. But basically at the end of the movie, the book that was covering the guy and the girl, now if they had free choice, was blank. They wrote their own rest of the life story. They were not controlled by some numbered accountant. Okay, so basically that's what I'm working on right now. Is I'm calling it number 2, official notice of reentry to my American office. And I'm turning everything in. I'll be sending copies of my certificate of live birth, or when I have a copy of it, even though it might be marked up, and I'll just say I'm going to surrender it over to the Postmaster General, my DD-214. I'm going to surrender it. Here, you go and get all the assets that are supposedly being utilized against that, put it in the National Treasury. Just give me access under special drawing rights to come in there whenever I need funds. I will notify the Attorney General, and then I will notify the Inspector General, and with the Inspector General, I will send him a copy of my hospital birth certificate. If you don't have a hospital birth certificate, you basically take a copy of your page out of your Bible. If you don't have one yet, go and get a Bible and put a family entry in there, because that is a lawful document. You get it recorded. Try and get 2 witnesses to attest to that entry. You got most of the information you need put in there. The only thing you probably don't have is your birth weight and maybe your height off of the certificate of live birth. That's why those certificate of live birth were basically fictitious receipts, because they did not have all the right information on them. Okay, so that ought to give you a bunch of stuff to think over for the next day or so, until I get these documents posted up there and you can take a look at them. Now, any questions?
Yeah, I got a question, Pat. Can you hear me?
Okay. Speak up a little.
Okay. When we get this document sent out, the new one that you're getting ready to prepare, once we establish our surrendering of all of our numbering documents, who can we go to be able to learn how to draw and receive the new currency? You know, the procedures, if you need cash, or if you need, money for this, or if you need a loan for a home. How can we find out a source that can teach
they
us and
will
help us.
basically be contacting you when you surrender all of this, okay? And I will be putting up a document, so like what we've done in the past.
Okay.
We've got confirmation of this from the Secret Service and from the FBI. Both of them told one guy out in Idaho and the other guy down in South Carolina, the FBI down there, that the Secret Service out in Idaho, basically both of them tried to tell the people to stay away from the UCCs. You don't need them. You're basically causing additional harm when you do them.
I see.
You're not getting anything out of them. We never got one damn dime out of them. And basically, in most cases, doing a UCC is a warning document. You're trying to lay claim, a warning claim against somebody else. But we weren't doing it in that regards. We were trying to claim those warning instruments that we already had out there. We just need to get rid of them.
Round them out.
Now, all the stuff that I've done on the money orders and everything, they've come back and the Secret Service has said there's nothing wrong with them. They're not counterfeit. But they're not quite right. That's all that they could say. They couldn't charge us with counterfeiting or putting something in the process because they were not going to take it to court and have it exposed that we were close to being on target. We had to find out how to do it the right way, and the right way is under no numbers. It's right in the Constitution and in the statutes at large that basically if you needed money, okay, this was supposed to be a non-debtor country. The Treasury, the trust, National American Trust, was supposed to be there at the disposal of the people if they needed access to it. The courts, basically, if the people went into the court in the right way, the court should have taken it and made the adjustment, going to the Inspector General to have the funds taken out by means of a warrant, a court warrant. Now, if they did not, okay, then in the statutes at large, and I posted this up there, you would go directly to the Secretary of the Treasury and petition him to pay the debt from the National Trust. Doesn't call it a national trust, but basically it is. So that's where, we'll have, when we get rid of this, they've got to give us back. And see, that's why we're going to the Postmaster General. Because if we're not given our right of access after we've surrendered everything, then we are being deprived of commerce. And after 3 days, that is an act of war.
Wow. That's deep.
Okay? Sort of understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, yes, it is. It's really deep, yes.
Any other questions?
I think you've really fleshed it out, Patrick. Even though you introduced me to it earlier today, this really gets thought through. I love it. It's great that tomorrow's going to be Independence Day.
Yeah, see, this whole scenario about the three major trustees out here, Jesus talked about them. Okay? Daniel talked about them. You don't see it in all the correlations because you don't know how to read between the lines, but it's there. Moses, Abraham, all the same scenarios. And then operating in just commerce or commercial commerce, the unjust system. There is nothing new under the sun out here. They've masked it over and given different titles to the gods out here, but they're still operating in the same capacities.
And the three names you mentioned, those correlate to Baaliff, Baelor, and Baali. Is that correct?
No.
No?
No. We, the people, in the Constitution, were the Baelor. The government became the Baali. The U.S. Marshals and the Secret Service are the Bailiffs. The National Trust, the assets that we were given under the Articles of Confederation, that basically the assets of the nation belong to the people, and we deposited them into the Treasury in a National Trust depository account, and that is the bailment. But don't try and get in there and confuse too many different things at one shot.
Right.
Because you'll get tongue-tied, and then you'll probably screw it up. The way so many people do when they go into court. They don't know when to shut up, surrender. And that's what you're doing when you shut up. You're surrendering. I'm surrendering any further speech.
The meek shall inherit the earth.
Yeah. Only when you know how to shut up. Okay, any other questions there?
So the time to shut up is after you submitted the reentry forms.
No, you can still talk. You're not talking to the court or anything. You can talk to other people.
Okay. But once we submit the reentry forms, it takes away the authority from the commercial or the fictitious entity.
Well, you're out of their system, okay, and they're not going to hear you any longer because they need to have numbers to hear.
Okay. So ultimately, that's the most important thing to do is surrender all the numbers. Once we surrender everything that is associated with a number, it takes away any authority that they have over us or that they claim to have over us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we will be notifying also the Secretary of the State and the State Secretary of State and the State Attorney General of what we've done, so that now they've been informed. Now they have to inform all of their employees to hands off.
In the interim, the proof that we have is the copies of the paperwork that we submit when they try and enforce.
Yeah, you can send them a copy of this. You keep the original, okay, unless you want to send the original into the Postmaster General of your notice of reentry, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But always scan a copy of anything you send out. So you've got it time-stamped on your computer. When you do a scanning, you have just time-stamped that document.
Right.
You don't need to go to the clerk of the court to get any time stampings or anything like that. You just need to have something that basically you notified them by mail or whatever. I would always send out a precursor fax to them, and basically the Attorney General, the Postmaster General, and the Inspector General all have fax numbers. They may or may not have email. If you find an email, you can send it copies of this by email. And then send a hard copy by mail and say it's in the mail.
I have more faith in them reacting. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, say if any of our local PD or judges or anything try to enact what they're used to being able to work over us, are they going to?
If they take you to court, okay, what do you do in court?
When I get to court, I ask the judge whether or not he's qualified to.
No, you don't. That's arguing. Okay?
Okay.
You're going into the court, and basically the only reason you're in that court is because they think you are a bar card member. Okay? The judge has a bar card. The prosecuting attorney has a bar card. The clerk of the court has a bar card. Everybody in that court has a bar card. Well, for you to be in that court, you also have to have a bar card.
But I've surrendered it.
And that is the Social Security card. And basically, you show the document that basically, here, I have surrendered this already.
Okay. That answers the question. Is that's what I show at the documents that show that I no longer have a bar card.
Right.
Okay.
You have a mortgage. You have a certificate of title to the vehicle. You surrender it to them. Here, take it. They don't want it. But it's out of your hands. Now they can't charge you any further, can they?
No, they can't.
Because you don't have control of it anymore. They can only control the one who's holding it.
And they can only control the things with the numbers.
Yep, they can only control something that has a number.
Okay.
It's the numbers game.
I like that.
So when you take away the numbers, the game's over.
That's simple.
That's simple.
Wow.
Anybody else?
So the documents, everybody should hold up on the documents we're doing. It doesn't hurt that we sent them, but we don't need them now.
Well, basically, you need to have the understanding of what they were doing, okay?
Oh, right.
But, yeah, they need to get this new understanding and basically to go over and look at what the differences were between the documents. They should do that, okay?
Okay.
Understand the progress, okay? This is supposed to be a learning process. I wish there was a little more learning on your guys' behalf out here. Support. I mean, basically it's almost like I had to drag some of this stuff out from talking to a couple other people and finding out about what the Secret Service was saying, that basically we were supposed to be using UCCs. And the FBI said the same thing. See, we claim that everybody is always against us. But the problem is, most people don't hear what the other party is saying because they're always running off at the mouth and never hearing anybody else talk. Whether it's in their mind or what. A lot of people call that closed-mindedness, but it's not. It's your damn inner mouth running, that you can't hear what the other person is saying.
Mm.
Hey, Pat, did you see that Santos Bonacci video he posted on Skype?
No.
Oh, that was deep, where he was on Channel 7.
I don't have it, okay? So
Okay.
I don't know what he said.
Okay.
What did he say?
He was telling the cameramen, they came back after the first interview, they left, and he showed how Channel 7 edited all of the true information out and converted it into a bunch of, different messages to the people in Australia. And then the camcorder man came back, a different camcorder man came back and totally re-interviewed him, and he explained right out in front of the court building that, about the live birth certificate opposed to the living man birth certificate, and he was explaining how you got to surrender just everything like you're saying. He was explaining basically everything you're saying to the cameraman, and he was sitting there blowing the cameraman's mind with all this information and everybody around him, and he was just basically showing, just like you're doing, how all that stuff is fictitious and how it's being used against you to charge you debt money so they could use it in their warring. And a lot of people were amazed that the information he was putting out, like they never heard it before.
Santos has been following us closely. He's very friendly about it. Could you post a link to that video on the Yahoo group?
Are you talking to me, Tom?
Yes.
I'm sorry. What'd you say? Did I post it on what?
Could you post?
Could you post the link to that video on the group site there? That's
Absolutely.
What Tom's asking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I will for certain. I will. I'm at work right now, but right when I get home, I will for sure do that.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, one of the best things to do is to shut down the damn internet, okay? Stay off of the thing. Only use it for what you really need for, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go in and download the dictionaries so that you have those available to you. And more than one, okay? Black's, Bouvier's, Valentine's, Anderson's. There's some old ones up there, too. You get the Oxford Law Dictionary. I don't think you can get the Oxford Universal Dictionary because that's a monster anyway. And Webster's main dictionary, basically, that one's a pretty thick one, too.
Yeah, I got the 1828. That's an awesome dictionary, too.
Yeah, sometimes the older, and then basically you could see how they've changed the wording and how they changed the definitions around as time progressed.
Right.
To try and deceive the people.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's what really woke me up is the dictionaries.
Yeah, that's where you're going to find everything you need because it's all in the words. Until you understand the words, you can't understand anything else that you're reading.
Okay. I have up on the eConcurrent site the Anderson's in PDF and the Oxford English Dictionary. I think it's a second version, 4.0, 2009. I have Valentine's and Black's here. I'll post them up in that dictionary, so they'll all be available.
Okay.
It's in econcurrent.com/divine/DICT.
And I mean, also, same thing goes for the Bible, okay? You shouldn't just have one set of the Bible. King James, Dewey Reams, the Gutenberg Bible, the Geneva Bible. And then do a comparison and look at some of the different phrases of how they've modified them and changed them. Now you can understand why one sect is using the King James Version and like the Anglican Church or the Lutherans or whatever are at odds against the Roman Catholics because they have different terminology and basically each one of them thinks that they're damn right. I don't know what the Jehovah's Witnesses are using. They're off in another world of their own. But see, everybody, and this is how they divide and conquer in war, is to get you to fight amongst yourselves.
That way you only turn to them when you need help.
Yeah.
Any more questions, guys? We certainly have enough to think about. I'm going to go over and over this call just so I can get the impact of what Patrick has just discussed.
Well, I'll try and get that set of words up there that I've highlighted, some of them, and underlined certain ones and then also I'll try and get this document and then I'll send 3 addresses, fax addresses for the Postmaster General, for the Attorney General, and for the Inspector General up there. And then one of the other key things, never put your phone number on anything. That is another number that was issued to you. It's another tracking number. You want them to come and in person contact. You give them in person contact information. You want them to come to you in person when they contact you, not by the phone. The phone is another fictionary communications.
Patrick?
So don't use the phone number, okay? And always put the zip code in a bracket. And basically you're stating that you're outside of the U.S. postal bar zone. Your street address and everything like that, that's not one of their numbers, okay? That's just a location. But that's not theirs to control. Go ahead.
Yeah, Patrick, someone just posted on the Skype group. It's a little lengthy, but not that long. I am at work right now and cannot talk. Can corroborate with what Patrick is speaking of now. About 8-9 months ago, I was pulled over by police driving through a checkpoint trying to pick up a dinner. And the car had no insurance, I had no license, and told the cop I do not have a Social Security number. I terminated it. That was the first question the cop asked. He flipped out, gave me the funniest expression. He had to talk to a sergeant, and then they waved me through and left me to pick up dinner. Maybe this is going on case by case, but this is a live example.
Right. As soon as you don't have a warning card and a banking card, they can't charge you. You're no longer an enemy combatant, and you no longer have a bank account to put a fraudulent charge against. So you're in peace, and that's what we're coming in as. We're coming in peace. As a peace officer, American peace officer, because we're a trustee and also an elector. So we're coming in to claim our office in peace. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to stay in peace, and we will be at war if anybody tries to harm us or our nation. So don't tread on me. Any other questions?
Well, it looks like not.
Okay, go ahead and call it night, Tom.
Okay, Patrick, thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, you guys have a good 4th of July.
Okay,
yes.
you too, guys.
Don't shoot too many fireworks off.
Thanks,
Save the extra charge there for your reentry rockets.
All right, well, that's going to be our fireworks as the reentry.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
bye.
you, sir.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hi, Thomas.
Yes.